Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to Moonrise on our Pisces new moon gathering. I'm very excited to be here tonight and feel into the intuitive, magical Piscean realms with my dear friend and colleague, Natalie Cutsforth. Say hello, Natalie.
Hello.
Hi. I am here in New York, and Natalie's out on the West Coast, and we have some people joining us from actually both coasts coming soon. And I think we'll get right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see what we're talking about. So I think we should have a thing here that says Moonrise.
Yep.
Lunar Wisdom with Inspired Leaders. So this is our new monthly thing. I started at the beginning of the year. Just a place for us to pause and connect, realign, and really bring together the medicine of the moon, the monthly astrology, if you will, and some embodied practices with some of my favorite leaders that I have worked with over the years. So this is a clarity and an alignment opportunity. There's nothing to do here tonight, just sort of show up and take what resonates, and we'll go from there. So excited to have Natalie on tonight. She's a dear colleague and friend. We've been friends for many years, actually. I've organized a few of her retreats. We've been on several retreats together, and she's just one of those people who sees clearly, compassionately, and she has an immense well of wisdom. So, Natalie is a clairvoyant and intuitive healer. Began training in 1997 with a dream that led to over a decade of intensive work with her mentor, Dawn Eaglewoman. And she works with energy tools, intuition, personal transformation, and soul contracts, which helps people access their soul's wisdom and release blocks to living their fullest life. She grew up on a hippie ranch in the Oregon, spent 20 years in the business world, and now brings both her analytical and intuitive gifts to her soul work. So once again, Natalie, it's so good to have you here. Welcome. I just want to give you an opportunity to say hello and anything else you might want to share about you and the work that you do.
Thank you, Una. I'm really grateful to be here too. I was just reflecting on, I think we've been friends for 20 years about this year, or maybe next it'll be 20,
Wow.
that we met in just a social circle in Colorado and would maintained a, friendship ever since. So it's pretty awesome to see that we've had that. And in that, when Una first met me, I was working in a corporate job and had to travel every other week. And I was, working in tech, which is a pretty analytical industry. But in a way, it actually worked for my intuitive uh, sensitivity because most of the people I was working with were brainy and they weren't getting into my psychic space. They weren't, they didn't have that kind of personality generally. So it made it a little easier for me to be in that line of work. And I started understanding my own gifts when I was, and by the way, I don't know, Una, if I'm not seeing myself on the screen, but you
You're
can,
not?
no, maybe you
Oh,
do. And you might have to make me a co-host.
okay. Well, let's just go here for a minute. How about
Okay.
that? Okay.
We'll just, yeah, that's so, um, yeah, I just started understanding what these sensations I had my whole life meant and started learning what it meant for me and doing healing work on myself. And that all led to eventually, because I was curious about it, the next level was, practicing on people in psychic school. And because people would come into the school because they wanted free readings and students to practice on them. And so I started practicing and getting to the point where I felt safe with my own boundaries, which was a big deal for me because I didn't want to open myself up intuitively unless I felt safe. And a lot of the early influences towards my knowingness or feeling or sensing all of this stuff was sort of overwhelming, anxiety causing. And um, cost it felt depleting. And so it wasn't until I learned energetic boundaries, which we're going to do in a little practice here today, that I started feeling at peace. And then when I got my own sense of security around that, I could help other people by doing readings. And that sort of evolved into supporting other women that are highly intuitive and have professional careers in understanding that part of themselves and their calling and how they can weave it into whatever their work they're doing through my mentoring program. So
Amazing. I love when I get readings from Natalie. I always come out with a lot of clarity and it always feels really healing. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing. So before we get into, just so everyone knows the format today, I'll share a little bit about the astrology of the new moon. Um, and then Natalie's going to share some things about the work that she does and a practice that we can do together. And then we'll have some time at the end if anybody has any questions or comments. But before we get into the astrology, Natalie's just going to get us grounded and in our space so that we can be in a place of reception. So I'll let Natalie take that from here.
awesome. Well, I just love to invite everybody to take a moment to close their eyes. And if closing your eyes doesn't feel comfortable, you can just gaze sort of down so you're not looking at other people on the screen. And take a deep breath into your heart. And just notice as you're taking a couple breaths into your heart, you're expanding your availability to give love and receive love, and to feel at ease and at peace, giving and receiving. It's always important to start by focusing on setting your own space. So, with that sense of your eyes closed, and bring your attention to your inner gaze between your ears, behind your eyes, your sixth chakra or third eye. And just set the intention that you're going to send a beautiful tropical breeze through the center of your head from the front out through the back. And as it blows through your analytical and intuitive mind, it's going to just pick up any energy that's not in your highest good. Could be little bits and pieces of energy from the past or worries out in the future. It could even be other people that are getting in your space. You're just going to let that tropical breeze flow through your third eye and out the back of your head to gain some space. Give yourself space. And then imagine there's a miniature version of you standing in the center of your head in sort of that jumping jack position, your legs splayed out, your arms splayed up. And you can touch the entirety of that sixth chakra. Your hands are touching the top, your feet are touching the bottom, and you're really taking up all the space with you. With this act, you are claiming seniority over your truth, your thoughts, your intuition, owning that space. I just invite you now to bring your attention all the way down your spine. Maybe watch it with your inner gaze, like you can go all the way down your spine into your hips, your root chakra. And notice there's a connection between your body and spirit and the earth that extends from the first chakra, that root chakra. And I want you to just to refresh it, bring it into present time by imagining it's got today's date on it, March 18th, 2026. And that grounding cord is just for you. It connects to the hips and goes down through the chair and floor and down into the earth. And it finds a way to anchor into the earth, maybe with some roots or plugging in or extending beams of light. So you feel that sensation of support from the earth. You're grounded. You have clear psychic space. Now, just bringing your awareness to the center of your head again and focusing your gaze up. That inner gaze goes up above your head. And just imagine there's a golden ball of light up there that's magnetically calling your energy back to you from any place, known or unknown. It's an effortless act, just a command to call your energy back to this golden ball of light. Letting the gold light give your energy a healing. So nothing it came into contact comes back into your energy field. And then just reaching up and popping that golden ball of light, your own essence, and let it flow down into the crown of your head, your face, your neck, flowing down your arms into your hands and fingertips, flowing into your heart, your solar plexus, down through your creative second chakra and your root chakra, and all the way down your legs into the soles of your feet and tips of your toes. And finally, just imagine that you have a big bubble around your body. It's your aura bubble. It's what defines where your energy field ends and the rest of the world's begins. You're just going to give it a little refresh by imagining it's a new color. Maybe it's a seafoam blue. Maybe it's a sunny yellow or a pale purple. Whatever color feels good to you right now, just set your aura bubble with your intentions at that color. And then take a moment to just thank yourself for being here, for opening up to gaining information around what's happening in the universe, in the stars, and how that can support you, how you can work with it, and how you can gain more clarity with your intuitive self. When you're ready, you can open your eyes, take a little stretch. I can't hear you. Oh.
Thank you, Natalie. That was beautiful. If anyone is new to Natalie's work, that's the kind of energetic healing that you can experience with her. So it's so nice to get into that space before we get a little deeper into the astrology. So let's go ahead and do that. And I just want to go ahead and say that, I'm actually a Pisces sun, and Natalie is a Pisces rising. It's so funny because I am a Libra rising and I attract a Libra sun. So I think rising and sun signs tend to attract to each other. And I know it's a little bit different, your sun sign versus your ascendant. The sun sign is how you sort of radiate and embody something. The ascendant is more how you perceive the world, like through glasses and how the world sees you. So it's just slightly different. But I just wanted to bring that up because I've done Natalie's chart a few times, and if you're curious more about astrology, contact me. We can get deeper into where Pisces is in your chart because actually everyone does have Pisces somewhere in your chart, and we will talk about that later in the presentation. And I'll let you know based on your rising sign which part your Pisces is. Okay. Pisces symbol is the two fish, right? So we have one swimming up and one swimming down. And the down is into the depths, and the up is into the stars. So this is a very interesting sign because it's the eternal pull, right, between the physical and the spiritual, the earthly and the divine, our body and our soul. And it tends to sort of live in both worlds at once. It is really the sign of ultimate compassion because it can reach those high highs and those low lows in the deep places. It's associated with our intuition, disillusion, surrender, the one who feels everything. And it is also the last sign of the zodiac. So it carries all the energy of all the signs before it. It really does do that. All the lessons, all the wisdom, all the grief, all the beauty. Pisces is really the end before we begin again. So it is a deep place of trust and surrender. Some of the archetypes associated with Pisces are the artist or the dreamer. You probably know an art person out there who's a Pisces who just channels beauty and inspiration and the visionary from the unseen realms, maybe a poet or a musician, someone who really dreams the world into being. It's such a beautiful way that things come into fruition. The empath, which I know is something, Natalie talks a lot about in her work. Again, this is the fish with no armor, that feels everything, not only just their emotions, but everything and everyone around them, which does make way for a lot of compassion, and a compassionate heart, someone who can really hold space for all the emotional pieces, although it can also be a very sensitive energy as well. And then we also do have the martyr or the victim, a little bit of the shadow side of the Piscean energy. It's sort of the one who gets lost in their pain or forgets their boundaries and gives too much, or, martyrs themselves or victims themselves because they think that's what they should do or they have to do, but ends up hurting themselves in the process. So these are some of the three archetypal energies that I associate with Pisces. There certainly could be more, but just notice if you have any Pisces or you know any Pisces people, if you can recognize some of that energetic. Pisces is a water sign and it is a mutable energy. So, water is the element of emotion, intuition, feeling, flow. This is really what connects us to each other, to the unseen world. And then the mutable energy is what is changeable, adaptable, and dissolving. Okay, so Scorpio is more fixed water, which holds. And Cancer is more cardinal water, which initiates or protects. And mutable water is more about the dissolving and the changing of boundaries. It flows everywhere, it merges. You can think about the ocean, becomes whatever container it's in. If you put a drop of ink in water, it dissolves, right? That energy where it bleeds into that boundless, connection. There's a lot of, again, trust and surrender to the current with Pisces, allowing yourself to completely dissolve or lose yourself. Anybody who's ever painted too long or danced too hard, you can kind of get into those euphoric Piscean states where you kind of feel like you're at one with everything around you. And you can even forget oh gosh, I have a body, this type of thing. So it can be really fun and euphoric. It can also feel like losing oneself or drowning, in that energy. So it's a very interesting energy to have that as the last sign of the zodiac. There are two ruling planets of the sign Pisces. The traditional ruler is Neptune. Okay, the god of the seas. So that makes sense in that respect. This is really the planet of dreams, illusion, spirituality, transcendence. And it does, in fact, dissolve boundaries. So that mystic, artistic energy and our connection to the divine is very much associated with Neptune, but it also can be the fog or the confusion or the delusion or the escapism, where we lose ourselves completely. Now, Neptune, we'll see in the chart, recently entered into the sign of Aries. So it's been in Pisces for the last 14 years. And we typically associate this as an example with the opioid crisis in America, for example, right? As it has now just entered into Aries for the first time in 165 years. We talked about this last month. The last time Neptune was in Aries, the United States was in a civil war. What's important to understand about that is there's a vision or an ideal that becomes very important when Neptune is in Aries, and Aries is the warrior. So we're talking about people who had a vision that they said, slavery's not okay, and we're willing to fight for that moral ideal situation, that this is not an abstract thing anymore. When Neptune's in Aries, we have a vision or an ideal and we're willing to fight for it. And we can certainly see some of that happening in the news at the minute. Our modern ruler is Jupiter, okay? The planet of expansion, faith, wisdom, Zeus is the archetype associated here. Jupiter says, trust the journey and the learning that comes and, have some grace and optimism with that. So, what's interesting about this is Jupiter just went direct. Okay, planets go back and forth, retrograde direct. It went direct in the sign of Cancer, and it's been retrograde since November. I am actually seeing this as a lovely omen, okay, as we move into this next moon cycle. Really about moving forward with things that we could have gotten started with from last June to November. So if you had some big ideas or you had some big visions around that time last year, I think we're going to be able to see some of that stuff start moving forward now. Faith is really important, as is any Cancer themes, themes of the heart, themes of the home, things that we care about the most. And the combo of these is so interesting. It's like the dream of Neptune just became a mission, and faith of Jupiter is what might carry us forward. Um, there's a thing in astrology called the Sabian symbols. So the Sabian symbols are a channeled kind of poem or imagery that goes along one image, one poem through every single degree in the zodiac. There's 360 degrees. The new moon is at 28/29 Pisces. So the symbol that is associated with this new moon is light breaking into many colors through a prism. And I just think this is so fascinating because how I understand it, when you're in Capricorn, this is the mountain, right? You get to the top of the mountain. The Capricorns that climb, the goats, they get up to the top. And this is towards the end of the zodiac. So it goes Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. Once you're at the top of the mountain, you have a new awareness where you can see above the earth. And now we get into the air element, into the Aquarius, where we have the ability to see everything from a higher perspective, right? And it's from that higher perspective that Aquarius goes, oh, we're all connected. And that's the beginning of Pisces. It's as if a drop of water has gone into the ocean and gone, oh, we're all one. We're all connected, right? It's this unity consciousness. But as we go through the degrees of Pisces, okay, we take on all the energies of the world and the oneness, okay? And this means everything, all the love and joy and pain and suffering, right, of humanity. And at some point, we need to experience differentiation again. So, this new moon is really about that distinction where we go from this wide sense of oneness and unity through the prism, right? And making some type of a distinction or differentiation into a specific part. We can't really stay in the mystical oneness world forever. You have to pay your bills and do certain things, it would be nice. But at some point, we have to really become colors again and differentiate. And that's really a big piece of this new moon, I think, is cleaning up a lot of the old pieces and deciding which colors I'm going to be moving forward with at this point. So letting, feeling all the feelings, all the grief, all the beauty, all the surrender, but now allowing an individuality to come through, what needs to be separated out, what can be released. This is really the prism moment that I think we're in now. This is the chart of the new moon. This is on East Coast time. And what we're seeing here is something very interesting, right? If you notice, there's a whole lot of Pisces going on here. Okay, so we have not one, not two, not three, four planets plus the north node. The nodes are where the eclipses happen. And that's where the eclipses have been happening over the last year and a half to 2 years on the Pisces Virgo axis. So we've had a lot of Pisces Virgo themes come through with our eclipses. But with four planets here, again, at the very last degrees of Pisces, I think we're in an energy of really letting go and fully releasing any of the old story, any grief, if there's any forgiveness that needs to occur, really surrendering any self-sabotaging or victimhood that we've been carrying. It's a very big energy, the very last degrees of the zodiac, right? This encompasses everything, right, in humanity. And so, with all that energy, it's a lot of dissolving and releasing. And again, forgiveness, and compassion is what's really coming through for me as well. Um, Mercury is still retrograde, okay, in and conjunct the North Node during this moon. And so this is about feeling our way through things. Over the next couple of days, there are several shifts over the next week. And we'll talk about what some of those are. There's several shifts, really moving us in the direction of newness. But I think the next couple of days, especially, it's like really feel through it. Like allow yourself to feel what is true for you and what feels in alignment for you. Um, we have some really nice omens, I think, in this chart. For one, we have a trine to Jupiter. Remember, Jupiter rules Pisces and it just went direct. So this is about, having faith and courage to move forward in the direction of those Jupiterian dreams. And there is just such a nice trine going there with Mars. It's about taking action. Now, Mars in Pisces um, kind of follows its whimsy and follows its dream. So it may not look straight necessarily. Okay, it could still look a little fishy, a little wiggly, your path, and that's okay. I think again, it's following the heart and it's following the soul path. So I do see a lot of um, energy that will help carry us forward here with that. We also have a really nice sextile. Sextiles are helpful to Uranus. And this is about, getting ready for those new routines and those new themes or seeing it and it differently, doing it differently, embodying it differently. So really being willing to break out a little bit. And then, of course, we do have not one, not two, but three, but four planets in Aries. And I think this is also extremely important because as we move through this next week, we have in the next 2 days, the sun will move into Aries, signaling the equinox. So we'll have the real initiation of the new um, year. And as it does that, all these, the sun and the moon are going to aspect into Neptune. So we'll see the dream or the vision that we're willing to take action on. And then the sun will conjunct Saturn, which initiates two new cosmic cycles where, again, if you're clear on your vision, Saturn can help to give you the reality of that vision, to bring it into reality. So, over the next several days, as we come into the equinox, I think there's a real opportunity here to feel things fully, to release anything that we would not like to bring into this next chapter. Certainly, seeing this chapter as either you can see it as a 6 months chapter between now and the full moon in Pisces, which will be in September. Or you can also see this as the beginning of a 2.5 year cycle because we have Saturn here in Aries, a 14-year cycle with Neptune here in Aries, which will spend 14 years as well. And also, really, an 18-year cycle because these nodes are changing and they go on 18 years. So, we have several cycles kind of lining up, initiating a pretty big new chapter for us. So, I think the question is, in your heart of hearts, what feels appropriate for you to release at this time? And what feels exciting for you to commit to at this time in moving forward? Um, so very exciting stuff, actually, I think. So, where does Pisces fall in your chart? So, where does this new moon fall in your chart? The way that we look at this is through the rising sign. So, if you know your rising sign, then you can know which part of your chart is being activated by this new moon. So, real quickly, Aries, you'll have this in your 12th house. So you want to be looking at an intention around your spirituality, your inner world, your private life, a retreat, something behind the scenes. Taurus, 11th house is your community, your friends, your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, the way that you connect with people in the world. Gemini, this is a great new moon for your career, your public role, how you're seen in the world. So, especially in the work that you do. Cancer, the ninth house, your beliefs or worldview, as well as international travel and or teaching can be a good thing to set an intention here or initiate something new. Leo, eighth house. This is the house of depth, transformation, intimacy, anything taboo, anything metaphysical, other people's money, other people's energy. Virgos, they've been going through it with these eclipses, so I know you've been feeling it. This is really the end and the beginning of a new cycle of partnerships and relationships for you. Libra, your health and daily routines may need to get shifted slightly. So funny, this is me, and I needed to get a bunch of work done today, and I was like, no, I need to get a massage first. Okay, so sometimes you have to do the feeling and the body before you can do the productivity. Scorpio, fifth house. How can you initiate a new aspect of creativity or joy or creative projects? Sagittarius, in your fourth house. This is the home, the roots, the inner life. So this is initiating there for you. Maybe it could also be a time of movement. Capricorn, the third house, which is communication and your more local community. So the things you do more on a day-to-day basis with your neighbors, also your siblings. So this could have something to do with that for you with all that Pisces in your third house. Aquarius in the second house, really looking at money, self-worth. How can you initiate or shift or release and have a new beginning around money? And then Pisces, this will be a first house identity and purpose or direction opportunity for you. So, there you go. If you're not sure of what your rising sign is, you can reach out to me or you can also look it up online, astro.com. I do not recommend that you ask AI to find out your chart for you, as it frequently says wrong information. Okay, so moving along here, we're going to come back to Miss Natalie. And I just want to make sure that if you start talking, Natalie,
I think you need to just go into participants and make me a co-host so that I
oh,
can be
yeah,
seen there.
I thought I did. Yeah, I did already.
Oh, you did?
I'm gonna make you a full host and see if, oh, jeepers, no, that's probably gonna screw me up.
Um,
Did it work? Oh
I
my
don't,
gosh, I made you a total host, I think.
um,
Got a little Mercury retrograde still going. Mercury goes
I just made you
direct
the co-host.
on on the 20th. So again, I'm like the directness of this energy. We had so many things go wrong today. It's so funny in terms of the we're planning a retreat to Tulum. We just had next week. If anybody wants to go, we still have one dome left, and we're going to be diving into cenotes. But literally, like so many things we had planned for months just went sideways with this Mercury retrograde. So we're all looking forward to things going direct and having clarity. I think by next week we'll be there. Okay.
I'm
So
not sure
Natalie,
exactly how to get myself to show up. Hopefully other people
how
can
about
see me.
this? I'm going to stop my share and then why don't you go ahead and start sharing? How about that? Do
Oh,
you think
because then
that'll work?
yeah, but then I have to go open Canva and stuff.
Oh, right. Okay, let's
Yeah.
try again.
Let's,
I
I
can
think
see
this,
you, Natalie. I
Do what?
okay.
I can see Natalie. I can
Okay.
see both of you. Yeah.
Right now. So, but what
Yeah.
happens if we share sorry, we're getting there. We love technology when it works. How about now?
I still see Natalie. Yeah. I
Oh,
still
okay.
see you both.
Oh,
Yeah.
she sees us both. Okay, great.
Okay.
There you go,
Good.
dolls. There you go.
Well,
I
hopefully
can.
it's recording that, but if not, it's all fine. I'll just be a voice floating in the universe. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for having me, Una. I just love this conversation. I took a lot of notes for myself, just diving in, because it helps me know what to focus on since being a Pisces rising means it's all about identity and purpose and direction. And I've been thinking about certain aspects of my life from it, from what I'm going to create next in my clairvoyant world, and also my lavender farm, because I have a lavender farm, which I don't think I mentioned earlier. Which is I've been sort of thinking through what I want to create next with that, which also is a purpose and a direction and an identity that has been part of my life. So thank you. And can you forward this slide, please?
Yes.
So I wanted to just start because Piscean energy is so, to me, it's the sign of the psychic. I don't know if I'm overstepping there, Una, but I do really believe that the Pisces frequency is what is allows us to gain a whole otherworldly insight to what's happening that goes beyond the five senses. And often, as we are born into this world, before we're even verbal, we learn to take in information with our nervous system to read what's happening that's not through what people are saying or what their actions are, but what we're feeling of the energy in our body. And so, the first and most common way that most people learn to read without really realizing they're psychically reading or intuitively reading is through their body, feeling it in their body, getting a tense belly, or feeling like feeling pressure in their head, or feeling something below that, if they're feeling like somebody's attraction to them, and people feel it in the body. And but when we learn to read from seeing up here instead of letting our body take it all in, then we have more power with it, because we can protect our body, because we can stay in our truth, and because we can stay more neutral. And neutral doesn't mean not having an opinion. It just means that when we're getting information through that sixth sensory gift, oh, something happened, Una. All right. When we're getting information through that sixth sensory gift, we want it to be from our truth, not from an experience of being, like Una said, when you're in the ocean, when you're in the water, it is you, you are it. When you're dropping the water, it's hard to tell what's you and what's not you. And when you're reading by feeling it in your body, it can create a lot of confusion about whether it's you that's having the experience, or somebody around you, or somebody that you saw on the internet, or on TV. And so the more that we sort of become conscious of shifting the experience of letting our whole body absorb and take a sample of the energy around us to get information, and move it into a more consciously having those boundaries like we created at the beginning meditation, setting our bubble, clearing our psychic space of everybody else, being grounded, and calling our energy back so that we're in our own truth, then when we get those intuitive pieces of information, our body is protected. We get to actually see it from our truth rather than an altered truth that already has somebody else's energy in it that's distorting what we're seeing. It makes it more murky. And we also can be more neutral in the sense that we're not um, getting pulled into the emotions of whatever we're encountering, because part of that reading through feeling in our body can often be feeling somebody else's emotional state that they're either expressing or suppressing. So my I felt it was really important to start here, because when we're in this Piscean energy, we want to really be clear about how we are, differentiating, like you showed in that image, how we are really getting clear, rather than just like taking it all in and then having to try to sort it out. So you can go ahead and switch to the next slide. So in that, how we read also affects our energy in different ways. I always love to use the chakra body as a map of understanding. And when I'm psychically reading, it helps me really quickly get to information, like narrow in information about what's happening with a person that I'm seeing in their energy field. So when somebody, like when we're feeling something, reading by feeling and in our root, then it affects our stability. If somebody's getting in our space or if we're letting them get in our space because we're trying to sense into them, if we're reading from our second chakra, that's right below the belly button, our nervous system is getting activated by the energy that we're trying to understand by reading through feeling it in our body. If our if we're sensing energy and we're sensing through our solar plexus, then it can often create that grip, that sense of anxiety and tension because that is where we exchange energy with others, and it's disruptive. It can be disruptive to that energy exchange. And if we're reading it through our heart, I'm not saying that's bad. It's just that it has a sense, it can affect how you feel about yourself because our heart's our essence. If we are taking something on through our throat chakra, our communication space, it can alter what we actually say or what, it can alter the way our communication comes across when we're trying to express something. And if people are like, this is a back to the not just reading, but absorbing it into our psychic space rather than consciously setting boundaries and reading it, then it can affect our truth. And in the crown, it can affect our life path and our calling. So I just wanted to just point out how important it is to set those boundaries when in a healthy way so that when we're tapping into that information, which is really valuable and useful to us, that we're not merging in a way that affects our energy and keeps us from being at peace. I can switch slides now. So there are other factors that can affect our intuitive clarity. Like I know a lot of people that are intuitive and they're like, yeah, I'm already highly intuitive, but sometimes they don't know how to understand what to do with it or why they're getting it or where it's coming from, right? But we've all been influenced by factors that create doubt. Most people get invalidation that's not intended to cause harm by our families, but they're just trying to protect us. Oh, don't feel that. Don't sense that, right? And so they invalidate it when we like, oh, is that person sad? Oh, no, they're fine, right? We don't want the child to feel fine. So we invalidate their sense that somebody's not fine, which is sort of messed up, but it is a lot of the conditioning we get. And then there's the other factor is like, oh, I don't have proof, I don't have proof. And so that sense that we need a material proof can create doubt. Um, Another factor that can disrupt intuitive clarity is when we're trying to control the future, like see something that isn't ready to be seen because it hasn't happened yet. And I'm not saying that future reading isn't possible. I've done it at times. People will tell me I did it, and I don't even realize I did it. But what I'm saying is that, like, if we're trying to read the future from a place of needing to be in control of, does that person, are they going to do this? Are they going to call me? Or do they like me or not? Or like if we're trying to control the future through reading it, it will not really be clear. It'll be bouncing around like a ball, in an orb, like it can't settle, right? And if we try to read someone else's truth without their permission, that, it's possible that we can see it, but we might end up causing them to some suffering that might make them uncomfortable. They might send an energy whack our way because they feel us trying to read them. And that also can then create some mixed energy. So reading by feeling, which I just talked about in depth, is also a really big piece of what can disrupt clarity because when we absorb something in that sort of Piscean sense of like being one with everything, we actually can't see as clearly what our truth is because we're one with it. We're one with whatever we're absorbing, right? So, really the desire for that I have for you, and that's why I'm talking through all of this, is that you grow clarity for yourself through practice and recognizing when these old doubts and programmings are disrupting your ability to get clear for yourself. If they're rearing their head, you know? So you can, and we're going to do a practice next. So I want to guide you through a process of up-leveling your clarity. And a large piece of this um, path of up-leveling your clarity is more, it's more than awareness and tools. It's actually about clearing your space of what's in the way. Like and going back to what you said, Una, about releasing, this is a perfect time for us to release what's in the way of us seeing clearly, because Piscean energy wants us to see that. He wants us to see it all, like all the different possibilities that are beyond our imagination. And it's hard to see in murky water, it's hard to see if our screen's gone blank, because we're in fear or like we doubt. Or it's hard to see if someone else's needs, wants, or desires are like leaning into our space, right? And we're like, well, I want this, but it will make them feel bad, or that'll disrupt what I'm doing. And that sort of like murkies the water of us getting clear. So let's go ahead and do this practice together where we're just going to use our imagination to clear some space so we can up level our clarity. So just taking a moment to close your eyes and take a deep breath again. And just bring your awareness into the center of your head, that psychic space. And then just imagine a rose out in front of you. It could be like a hologram. You might see it on a movie screen or like a screen out in front of you, or just it's effortless. Just intend that there's this rose out in front of you and notice what color it is. Just to help with one step of clarity, noticing what color that rose shows up at. And I want you to imagine that there's now a bubble, like a little orb or a bubble right beside that rose. And that bubble is magnetic and it's going to clean out any of the blocks to your clarity that I bring up. So you're seeing this rose, you're experiencing it in your imagination, and next to it is this bubble. It's a clean out bubble. And as you're looking at this rose representing your psychic and intuitive clarity, your ability to read for yourself what's going on beyond the five senses, I want you to just allow that bubble to absorb anything that says, I can't see, it's blank, there's nothingness. So any energy that gets lit up about not seeing is pulling out of the blossom of the rose of clarity and into this orb. And now I want you to just allow any doubt that you could really get that true information that's useful to you when you need it and want it. Any questioning or doubt energy that's in that rose, you're just going to let this bubble absorb it and pull it out of the rose. Your imagination, you're just going to allow any other people's needs, wants, or desires that could disrupt your clarity to pull out of the rose and magnetically move into this orb, this bubble. We're just also going to imagine that your analyzer, any of the ways that your analyzer gets in the way of you getting that psychic insight, moves out of this rose and into the bubble, that analytical mind moving its energy into the bubble. We're just going to allow any fear of being wrong to move out of that rose into the bubble. And any resistance or fear of the action that you feel required to take if you get clarity, let that move out of this rose into the bubble. Just let that bubble also absorb any energy wax that you've received around your intuition, your psychic awareness, known or unknown to you, meaning that if you don't even have to remember them. You're just setting the intention that you're removing any times that people have sent negative energy to you for knowing something intuitively or for not knowing something. And letting those energy whacks or those negative responses to your psychic awareness move out of that clarity rose and into the bubble. And moving out the belief that you would have to merge with something and become one with it to actually get the information. So we're just going to move that out of the clarity bubble to any of that reading by feel or having to merge with it to get the truth, to get the certainty. Moving that into the bubble. Great. And if you notice anything else that's unique to you that might be in the way of you trusting your clarity, just imagine that it can move out of that rose blossom into this bubble, this clean out bubble. Maybe it's something that one of your family members said or a partner. Maybe it's disappointment from the past experiences of trusting something and not finding it to be true. And when that clean out bubble is really full of all that you've absorbed from this rose, I want you to move that bubble away in your imagination, let it float off into the universe and pop. And then give this rose a stem, a grounding cord. Imagine this blossom has a stem on it, and that grounding cord goes all the way down into the earth to really ground your clarity, ground your psychic permission to have access to your truth. And imagine that there's a big pitcher full of that frequency of permission, like a water pitcher you're going to water this rose blossom with, and you're just going to pour that whole pitcher full of water, full of the word permission and its frequency into the blossom of the rose to fill it and water it with permission to have psychic clarity and psychic insight. And now finally, I want you to imagine that you're going to put another bubble around this rose and snip the stem and ask the divine mystery to bless this rose and then release it up into the cosmos to become manifest as your new truth. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. We're making space so that we can have what this Pisces New Moon is offering us. So we can receive the download, whether it's in our sleep, in our journaling, in our, in the steps we take forward in the days to come. So I just want to give you permission with that to trust that you can look at something for yourself. You can close your eyes, imagine it, something in your life you're trying to get clear on. You can just look at it and see what you see and allow that clarity to show it to you. Sometimes that clarity takes asking questions. It does for me. I need to ask sometimes, like, oh, is this a like is this a yes or a no? And then I go to the next part of the question and I ask what direction does that take, you know? So I have one more little exercise I'd like us to do, and we can pop forward to the next slide. And that is to give yourself a chance to clear, because we're really getting into this release function right now, because I really feel the creation part or the manifestation part of what we have with this new moon is going to be more potent if we clear our field first, and that those steps are going to be supported, as Una said, as we get a little farther down the line, like with Friday, Saturday, in some of the things that are moving in our energy field. So as you're beginning to have these intentions and visions of what you want to create, that's going to have a 6 month or 2.5 year, 14 year, 18 year cycle that's new. We want to have a clear energy field, and we want to be able to tap into that certainty and allow ourselves some grace and gentleness, some going slow and not being urgent about it over the next few days, so that that vision can be created in a ripe state, in a state when it's supported by all the energy out there. So the next exercise I'd invite you to do is we're going to do a clearing of other energies that are affecting you as a whole. So I just invite you to close your eyes with me and take a deep breath. And just imagine that you are there in your aura bubble that you created earlier in this guided process. And you're going to use another one of those bubbles to clear your space, but this time you're not clearing it from a rose, you're clearing it from your whole aura bubble. And this bubble is going to be outside of your body. Sometimes you might want it above your head or out in front of you, whatever feels right for you. It's a magnetic orb that's going to be pulling this energy that's not you out of your energy field, so you can be 100% in your truth with whatever vision you're choosing to create in this new moon energy. So from that place of being in your aura bubble and having this other orb outside that is going to help you clean out your bubble, your aura, I just want you to imagine that bubble can magnetically pull any energy in your field that is in your space that's coming from what's happening in the world. What's happening in the world. You don't even have to know what's happening in the world. You're just allowing this bubble to pull energy out of your field that's affecting you, of what's happening in the world. Because when people in the world are in pain, when people are in confusion or hesitance, that can affect us. And so you're just watching all of that energy from the world, from the conflicts, from the uncertainties, the instabilities, move out of your aura bubble, your body, and your whole energy field into this clean out bubble. And then you're just going to imagine that any energy in your field, known or unknown to you, that's been collected up in your auric and physical body from exposure to the media, whether it's the news or social media, any form of media, gets moved out of your aura bubble and your body and into this clean out bubble. Sort of like a vacuum or a magnet, it's just going to pull it all out of your space. Let's clean out any energy that's coming from the government, whether it's our government or a government in another part of the world, government energy, government control, government choices made on our behalf that we don't get to influence. Let all that government energy move out of your aura bubble and your body into this clean out bubble. Now we're going to clean out any energy coming from the economy, from the financial situation in the world or in our communities. And I just imagine any of that inflation or economy energy, that money energy that's part of the world we live in and part of the communities we live in, move out of our aura bubble, out of our body and into this clean out. Or next, you're going to clean out any energy that's influenced your field from technology, from devices, from being exposed to frequencies, Wi-Fi, and all these different frequencies. AI. Let's clean out any energy that's coming from technology that's affecting your body and your aura, and put it in that clean out bubble. And finally, we're going to clean out any energy coming from other people, whether it's people close to us or people that we encounter through um, digital like connections, or just people that live in our community that we feel in our energy fields that we don't even know, that we saw at the grocery store. Let's clean out any other people's energy that's affecting our bodies and our aura and move it into this bubble. And let's let that bubble that cleaned all of this out of every cell of our body and our energy field float away to a faraway place, maybe over a mountain or the ocean, and just pop it. No harm done. It's just recycling that energy and giving you some more space for your experience, your truth, your vision. And now I just invite you to imagine that you can focus that inner gaze straight up above your head and say hello to your infinite soul self. Here, your soul is in your body, but you're just going to focus that inner gaze up and say hello to this infinite soul self that has a divine plan for you in this lifetime and future lifetimes. And just ask a little bit of that infinite soul self, a little more of it to come down, imagining it coming all the way down into the top of your head, all the way down your spine. So just a little bit more of your soul is in your body right now, giving you that power to create, to see for yourself. You're ready, you can open your eyes, do a little stretch, and yeah, I just really want to encourage everybody to take time to have a vision, to take time to play around with it. You can't fail, you can't fail. It's all practice and play. And even as you're trying to discover what you want to do as a next step for yourself, um, whenever you're sitting to do it, take time to clear your energy field out and set your bubble and get grounded and call your energy back so that you're doing it from a place of your truth, so that what you're calling in, I read one thing on from the shaman's path that said, be careful what you ask for this new moon because you'll probably get it. So when I hear that, I say, okay, well, be careful, meaning like put a context around what you're asking the universe for so that you're really clear about it. So thanks for having me here, Una. I think the last slide just has a few ways that people can work with me if they want to. I'm running a quick little special on my energy cleanse 10-day process, $10 for that 10-day process. You could start at any time. It's got a guided audio for creating boundaries with your energy field, and it has a quick little 5-minute journal that you do to track where your energy's going every day, and define if there's an energy leak there and stop those energy leaks. And then there's always my book, Tame Your Energy Sensitivity, A Tiger's Guide to Happiness for Sensitive People, that is available if you want to learn more about your intuitive gifts or capacity. And I do private sessions and group sessions as well. So thanks, Una.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Natalie, for being here. I really appreciate you and all that work that we just did. Y'all, if you want to get more of this, you can check out Natalie at nataliecutsforth.com. I'm just going to stop the share so we can get back to here. And that was such a perfect thing to do, a practice for, the Piscean energy, because as I said at the beginning, we're working with this mutable water element. And so yeah, anything that, gets into a glass of water can really contaminate or cloud the clarity of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was so perfect to be in a place of clearing the water
Mm-hmm.
for what's to come. And I think that's just exactly where this new moon is at, and letting go and releasing and clearing and cleaning out and letting go of all the last little bits and pieces of the last couple of years as we get into a very new and different energetic chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I know there's a lot of weird things happening in the world, but I do feel like there's a shift in the collective paradigm. And even though it's uncomfortable right now, the changes we're going through, um, there's an opportunity in it to take it to a different level of consciousness as society and as individuals. So,
Yeah, 100%. Lot of big cycles converging and opportunities to exactly get to the next level of human consciousness. So here we go. It's a little bit of an uncomfortable ride sometimes, but we keep evolving. So amazing. Thank you again so much for being here. It's always so nice to be with your energy. And thanks for everybody who was here live. Sarah, you
Thank you
made it all
both.
the
thanks for
That
way
was
sticking with
through.
us.
fabulous. That was great. Thank
How
you.
are you feeling, Sarah? Is there anything you want to share or say?
No, this was all just so useful. I just feel like it applies to everything going on, for me anyway. And just to hear the astrological aspect was great. And always to do work with Natalie is amazing and
Thank you.
clearing. So I continue to learn new tools and new things here, but just it really addressed things for me that have been going on. So I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sticking through all the way to the end here with us, and for everybody else who's catching the replay. The next couple days, I think, are going to be very powerful as we shift. Um, the moon's going into Aries, then the sun's going into Aries. We have the equinox, and I think we're going to see a Mercury go direct, and there's just a lot of kind of forward momentum with this new Aries equinox energy and this new moon. So many blessings, that you all have a lot of release and forgiveness and clarity, and you get very clear on your vision and the action that you want to be taking this year and into the spring ahead. So, thank you all so much for being with us. This is March Pisces moon rise, and we'll see you next month for the Aries new moon as well. Thanks again, Natalie. Lovely to have you here. Everyone, please check her out, nataliecutsforth.com. And happy new moon.
Right.